Run back, dive, turn it off. Hey guys, and welcome back to another Super Mario 64 challenge video right here on TetraBitGaming, where we take on the N64 Classic in some unconventional and stupid ways. And this very well may be the stupidest way of them all. Yep, as you probably saw in the title and thumbnail, I am going to attempt to beat Super Mario 64 with only a Rock Band drum kit. The goal here is to just beat the game, so I'll be going for the minimum 70-star requirement to get to the final Bowser stage, with the limitation here being, of course, the drum set. First, let's have a quick breakdown of my setup here, as well as what the control configuration is that I used for those that are interested. Basically, to make this challenge possible, I connected an Xbox 360 Rock Band 2 drum set to my computer using an Xbox 360 wireless PC receiver. Nothing too difficult. Then, for the greater part of this challenge, I have the controls set up as follows. Red pad for the B button, blue pad to move right, yellow pad to move left, green pad for the A button, and foot pedal is set to up on the control stick. As you can see, I also went ahead and purchased a double cymbal extension set, which I don't know if it's 100% necessary, but the 2 extra inputs make things much easier. For these, I have the yellow cymbal set to toggle holding down on the control stick on and off, and the blue cymbal is set up as a macro to jump and press Z to ground pound. For this run, I will try to stick to this layout as much as possible, but will reconfigure some things if I have to. And lastly, if at any point you do enjoy this video, be sure to slap a like down below and subscribe for more future unconventional challenges. But I think that's enough preamble. With all of that said, let's grab some sticks and begin this challenge in 3, 2, 1. The intro cutscene begins as normal. Mario is out of the pipe and, yeah, the controls take some getting used to. But after a short chat with Lakitu, we have made it inside the castle. And then, just like that, we're into the first course of the game, Bob-omb Battlefield. Honestly, this is going a lot better than I thought it would so far. What? Okay, let's try this again, this time without whatever rendering setting I had enabled. Nope. There, much better. Well, with that fixed up, let's try to actually make some progress. By now, you might have noticed probably the most difficult parts of this challenge. The first, that the buttons can't be held, and instead each input is only placed for a fraction of a second, which severely limits our movement and jumping abilities. Like, Mario really can't jump any higher than this with just the A button. And the second is that we can't rotate the camera. Many of you already know I hate this game's camera in general, so yeah, this'll be fun. Okay, so first up, as usual, let's try to get the star behind the chain chomp. I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty tough to do quickly enough to not get bopped. But with some proper timing and 3 quick ground pounds, the chain chomp is released and the cage destroyed. That's good and all, but unfortunately that star appears to be too high for us to reach by just jumping. But thankfully we can still wall jump, and after several attempts we finally have our first star. It took us long enough. Seeing as how normally easy tasks such as crossing this seesaw bridge were already getting difficult, I knew I was in for a wild ride. Getting up to King Bob-omb was pretty time consuming, but nothing all too difficult. The actual fight is another story though, as quickly running behind him proved pretty challenging. But 3 throws and like 5 minutes later, we now have star number 2. Next up, the race with Koopa the Quick. I'll say right now, anything in this game that's a race or on a timer is not a good time. I tried my absolute hardest and drummed as fast as I could, but there is no way I was gonna make it to the top of the mountain in the 1 minute and 32 second time limit. That is not the normal way. What if I were to optimize the 2 warp points in the stage and go as fast as I can? Yes! Oh my god, that was insane. That race was so tough and extremely tiring, but I'm very glad I was able to pull it off. Wow. Moving on, the star on the floating island was fine, and although tedious and time consuming, the red coins were also all obtainable. Since we don't have the wing cap yet, that's basically all for Bob-omb Battlefields for now, so let's head over to the next course, Whomp's Fortress. Being more of a vertical map, Whomp's Fortress certainly requires more jumping and platforming, which, as you might figure, is not a good look when playing with a Rock Band drum set. Getting up to the top was pretty hard, especially with all the moving platforms, but after a while I reached the top to square up against the Whomp King. As expected, it was tougher than usual, but with 3 more quick ground pounds, the king went kaboom once again. After getting to the top, again, it's now time to climb the tower. At first, after failing to jump high enough to reach even the first platform, I really thought the star was going to be impossible. But what if I could do a side flip? So I spent a while learning the timing, but eventually with toggling the yellow symbol and foot pedal, I was actually able to perform a side flip. This is huge because this move gives us the ability to jump much higher than we could otherwise. And after a few more jumps up the platforms, we have reached the top and the star is ours. With that star done, I was pretty excited to actually use Hoot as a shortcut to fly up to the fortress. Unfortunately though, after trying for way too long, I remembered that you actually need to be holding down the A button to have Mario hang on. So this will be impossible, at least with this configuration. After opening the cannon and spending some quality time with my save states, both the shoot into the wild blue and blast away the wall stars were relatively simple. But that is where the good news ends for this stage. I tried collecting all the red coins here, but for some reason, I assume since I wasn't jumping high enough, no matter how I tried, I just couldn't kick over this plank to reach the last of the red coins. So with that star and the caged star without Hoot currently unobtainable, yeah, Owlless isn't happening, on to the next area we go. Before diving into Jolly Roger Bay, I was curious to see if I could jump into the secret stage in the room first. And with a precise side flip, it looks like it is. Spoiler alert, swimming in this run sucks. As you can see, with the inputs only lasting a fraction of a second, turning while swimming was an absolute mess and in no way feasible with this current setup. So what I did was slightly alter my configuration by changing the left and right movements from just a simple input to instead a toggle between the left or right being held down and not. At first, this might sound like it could be a huge game changer for this run, and it might have been had the toggles been consistent. For some reason, the toggle only seemed to work, I don't know, maybe 20% of the time? And every time it failed, it would just act as a quick input instead. The toggles are both a blessing and a curse here, since although they help with swimming and movement in general, their unpredictability is a mess. No idea what caused the toggle to be so unruly, but my best guess is that the toggle had trouble since the input was only activated for such a short amount of time. Hey guys, video editing TetraBit here. Upon reviewing my footage and configurations after completing this challenge and everything pretty much, I realized I for some reason set rapid fire on, which basically was the problem why the toggles weren't working. It really wouldn't have made the challenge any easier, just a lot less frustrating. Stop toggling, just stop it, dude. Anyways, back to the video. With some patience, I was able to nab all the red coins and collect the first water-related star of this challenge. Yay, only several more to go. Now in Jolly Roger Bay is where my frustration finally started to set in. Thankfully, most of the stars here weren't too bad, just platforming inside the sunken ship was pretty rough, but grabbing the star from the Unagi, the chests in the cave, and the red coins were all pretty doable. The blast to the pillar star was a different story though, since both lining up the cannon to blast there was very annoying, and then the actual jump to the platform was also rather challenging. After several attempts though, with some luck, I somehow got it, bringing our star count up to 15. The last star in the jet stream I now usually get with perfect swimming. And although I was able to time the swimming with a drum set properly, the fact that turning was still such a spicy mess with the toggles makes this one star I'm happy to come back to later, hopefully with the metal cap. The ray of light is now shining through in the castle's foyer, so let's try and get the wing cap. Unfortunately, I didn't think of setting up any of the C buttons on my drum at first, but then I realized I had one more button available for an input, the back button. So I just used that button to act as C up. You might be wondering why I didn't use any of the other buttons in the middle of the drum set. Well, the A, B, X, and Y buttons are just mirrors of the drum pads, and while they may be better since you can hold them, I feel like that just takes away from the point of this challenge. And same for the D-pad on the left, since that would really just turn the challenge into trying to beat Super Mario 64 with a really uncomfortable Xbox 360 controller. I think setting the back button as C up and the start button as, well, the start button doesn't really compromise the nature of this challenge. Flying with the wing cap in this challenge is much more like, as Woody would say, falling with style. But here it's way more awkward than stylish. Getting to the switch was fine, but turning with the wing cap was honestly worse than swimming since Mario was flying so fast. The red coins here may not be impossible, but I'm really not interested in spending like 10 hours of my life on a single star, so I'll just skip this one for now. While we're here in the main foyer, let's head upstairs and take a trip to the Princess's Secret Slide. I was actually surprised how well I did on my first try here, and I really don't think I could have done it much better. So although we got the 1 star for completing the slide, again, although maybe not impossible, I don't think it's worth spending too much time trying to finish the slide in under 21 seconds for the bonus star. Up to 16 stars now, not too shabby at all. Next up is of course Cool Cool Mountain. Before going down the cabin chimney and doing another slide, I wanted to first deliver the baby penguin here to her mama. And this honestly somehow went way better than it ever does with a normal controller. Like I'm usually never able to pull off this mountain slide skip thing. Next, I grabbed all 8 red coins, which as usual wasn't all too bad, just tedious. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, setting the back button as C up also gives me the added benefit of being able to sometimes slightly reposition the camera, which is very useful in this run. Anyways, the hardest part of the red coin star was actually getting it after collecting the coins. I had to like time a jump dive just right and then pull back by mashing the blue pad hard enough to barely stick the landing. Yeah, I was pretty impressed by this. Next, time to finally tackle the slide. The slide just requires a ton of patience and knowing exactly when to turn, speed up, and slow down. After a while, I just figured I could jump off here and skip most of the slide, and thankfully that worked out for me in the end. That star was fine, but racing against the thick penguin, not so much. He is unfortunately just too fast, and I can't use any of the shortcuts because apparently there are several invisible checkpoints along the slide that even if I skip one of them, the penguin calls you out for cheating. So after numerous attempts, I'm gonna have to unfortunately deem this star not obtainable for this challenge. Next, I wanted to try and get the wall kicks will work star on the side of the mountain, so after jumping up to the pink Bob-omb and unlocking the cannon, I came to yet another impasse. Unfortunately, to proceed here, I would need to do a long jump, which I can't really do without holding the Z and A button. So I guess another way must be found. It was at this time during the stream of this run that my pal, the one and only Nathaniel Bandy, suggested that I use the spin drift enemy at the top of the mountain and try to float my way down there. What the heck, let's give it a try. It took a few trials and errors that needed to be fine-tuned, but lo and behold, I was not only able to float down to the area, but also grab the star mid-air, which saved who knows how long it would have taken me to actually jump my way up there. Definitely caught a lucky break with this one. Since I mentioned the stream, I'm just gonna quickly shamelessly plug it here. If you guys are interested in seeing runs like these live, be sure to follow me over on Twitch. The link to it will be down in the description, and I hope to see you there. Anyways, let's get back on track. Since I can't beat the big penguin race, this means that I also can't access the Snowman's Lost His Head star, making that one also currently unobtainable. Now, even though we're up to 20 stars, way more than the 8 required to get to the first Bowser stage, I usually want to get the 5 accessible courses out of the way first, so let's chase the Boo into the courtyard and hop into Big Boo's haunt. I'm really glad I was able to set up a ground pound macro, as this move makes defeating the Boo enemies so much easier here. As such, the Ghost Hunt and Big Boo's merry-go-round stars were both cake. With access to the second floor now, the secret of the Haunted Book star was also very easy, and although some red coins required some tricky side flips to get, Overall, grabbing all 8 wasn't all too bad. I honestly didn't think I'd be able to get to the 3rd floor or attic section of the mansion, but to my surprise, I was actually able to pull off a side flip wall kick combo to get up there. Yeah, I guess you could say I'm starting to get the hang of this. So this means we can get yet another star, right? Well, even though I was able to kill the big boo on the balcony, unfortunately the resulting star gets placed on the top of the roof, which I just wasn't able to reach. I just couldn't jump high enough or turn fast enough after jumping to either side of the roof to not slide off. Some viewers suggested frame walking and stuff that might make this possible, but I tried for quite a few minutes and I wasn't getting anywhere, so just based on my skill level here with the drum set, I'm gonna deem this one impossible. At least for me anyway. And with the final star here requiring the vanish cap, which we don't have yet, that's all there is for this course. So with 24 shiny stars in hand, it's off to the first bout with Bowser we go. The climb up to the pipe was surprisingly not all that bad for the most part. But the most difficult part about this stage was that the camera was locked, and even my method of using the C up button to shift the camera just didn't work. So some jumps here were just a bit harder than they needed to be. Then, after inching my way along this narrow path and side flipping up these steps, here is the absolute most difficult section, these steps. Like I said earlier, anything on a timer is far from our friend in this challenge. With the control stick to the right toggled on, I jumped and jumped up the stairs, but just wasn't able to get to the top as I had to stop and double jump for each step. I honestly thought this might be the end for a while. That is until I realized that if I time my jumps at a certain point, Mario will actually grab the ledge of the next step, and if I pull up and do this just right, I might be able to actually pull it off. So timing, not speed, is key here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes, there we go. This took me way too long, but I'm glad it's over with. And with nothing left in our way, time for our first Bowser encounter. So you might be thinking, hey Tetra, how exactly are you going to spin Bowser with a drum set? Well, if you were wondering that, that's a good question, and the answer is quite frankly, I won't. I tried and tried several methods, from hitting the pads in order as fast as I could, to setting up macros trying to emulate the rotation of a control stick. The problem is, with the Enrage controller plugin that I was using, as far as I know, there's no real way to set up the sequence for a macro. So it just wasn't possible to set something up like a up, right, down, left macro or something to a certain pad. After trying several things, although I was able to get Bowser moving a bit after grabbing his tail, it was nothing close to the speed I needed to be able to toss him more than like a foot, and I wasn't able to speed it up at all. So, backup plan, I'm just gonna grab his tail and quite literally throw Bowser a foot at a time and inch my way closer and closer to a bomb. After about 3 painful minutes, boom, just like that, Bowser 1 is in the books and we have our first key. To give you a frame of reference how much more time consuming this run is, it took me just over 5.5 hours to get to this point. I'm sure I could have beaten the game several times over in this time with a conventional controller. With the basement now unlocked, we have several new courses to try, but first let's grab Mips for another free star. Now let's hit up Lethal Lava Land. This course is heavily reliant on platforming, so hopefully this one goes okay. Thankfully here I was actually able to move Lakitu around using the back button, which was super helpful. Getting around the course sucked, but again, thanks to the ground pound macro, defeating the bullies for 2 more stars wasn't all that bad, and the 8 red coins on the Bowser puzzle were as easy as always. I had absolutely zero interest in even attempting to cross the rolling log for the star there, knowing how hard it is to change directions. And some viewers suggested that I try to use the wing cap to fly over the cage, but I just wasn't able to get enough height no matter what I did. So with that, let's now hop into the volcano and try to get the other 2 remaining stars there. Here, yet again, we weren't able to move the camera at all, so this made several jumps super precise, and some, like the one at the start here, I am honestly shocked that I was able to do at all. The platforming towards the top was also extremely stressful, but after that and a few more pull jumps, another star is ours. The other star in the volcano wasn't any more difficult, it just required a properly timed jump to transfer from one elevator to the next, and then some more tricky jumps to get to the star at the end. That's 5 out of 6 non-100 coin stars here. Not bad at all. Next up, Shifting Sandland. I'm really happy that the crazed crates here are still usable as normal. This was a huge shortcut to get around the pyramid, which otherwise would have probably taken quite a while. Just gotta make sure the angle is just right to jump over the sandhill at the start. Getting the star back from Klepto was fine, as was getting the star on the side of the pyramid, for which I opted to get extra cool boy points by getting it using this fly guy. Nice. The red coins in the stage are not so nice though, at least the 4 that are in the sky. Maybe not impossible, but I feel like the stress that would come with trying to collect them with a wing cap certainly isn't worth it, so down the pyramid we go. As you'd expect by now, the climb up was pretty annoying and took forever. I wasn't able to jump to the one pillar that's surrounded by quicksand without dying. So sorry guys, no IROC in this run, and I really don't feel like climbing up to the top of the pyramid again to get the pyramid puzzle star, so let's move on. Up next we have one of my least favorite courses in this game, Hazy Maze Cave. Luckily I was able to pull off the glitch to clip through the wall here down to Dory, but that just wasn't enough for me. I really wanted to land on the island in the middle so I wouldn't have to bother with swimming and controlling Dory. Getting the angle just right to do this was way more difficult than I thought at first. It honestly took me way too long to get it just right, and I got so close several times, which only infuriated me even more. But hey, eventually I got it, so it was all worth it, I guess. Next, since I had no interest in trying to get the 8 red coins here, I decided to try and navigate the maze with the haze that the title of this course keeps raving about. Just like everything else in this run that is time sensitive, the haze here sucked, as it sapped my life hard due to me moving slower than usual here. I eventually was able to get out to one of the exits, but it's to this place, which requires me to hold the A button to traverse. Awesome. I tried everything else I could, like triple jump dives, but the fence ceiling was just too low for me to cover that much distance. So that one is definitely off the table for now. Hey, what about the watch out for rolling rock star? Yeah, no, I just wasn't able to jump high enough, and without being able to both hold the A button and alternate holding left and right on the fly, this star is another one to cross off the list. This course proved to be an absolute disaster for this run. Lastly, I went back to Dory in the cavern and then entered the sub area to unlock the metal cap. Getting to the switch was fine, but getting the red coins here was unfortunately way too difficult, as the timer on the metal cap was too short given how long it takes to rotate Mario when he's underwater. On the bright side, the toad outside the entrance to Hazy Maze Cave was generous enough to grace us with another freebie star. Just to reiterate, some of the stars that I skipped, like the Metalhead Mario Can Move star, may in fact be possible, but I just feel like there are other stars which could be easier and more time efficient. So if I need to, I will certainly come back for some of these stars. Anyways, now before heading to Dire Docks and the second Bowser stage, I first wanted to drain the water in the moat and then attempt to get the Vanish Cap. The first part of the substage was alright, and I was able to proceed with some well-timed jumps, but since the camera angle wasn't movable here, some of the jumps here, like jumping off this seesaw onto these elevators, was just way too challenging for me. I was getting way too stressed out here, so unfortunately I had to move on. So with 35 stars, let's now use their power to open up this star door and skip into Dire Docks. Following the disaster that was Hazy Maze Cave, I was really hoping this course would be better. It wasn't. I complained about water courses and swimming before, but this was just peak absurdity here. Thankfully, after a long while, I was able to get aboard Bowser's sub and grab the star there. The next star I tried getting was the one from the chests in the current, and oh boy, that was a mistake. Swimming to each of the treasure chests in the right order was extremely difficult, and to make matters worse, swimming to the star after getting them all without getting sucked into the whirlpool was insane. But after numerous attempts, somehow I actually got it. Next, I tried getting the star in the jet stream with the metal cap, but I guess Bowser's sub was just overloading the game, which made the toggle to hold right work even less properly than it normally does. So I figure I'll come back to get the star, hopefully after getting a victory in the second Bowser fight, which makes the sub leave the course. Ah yes, Bowser in the Fire Sea, what a fun level, especially on a Rock Band drum set when you can't change the camera angle. Luckily, the holding right toggle came in super useful here, coupled with some damage boosting with the lava. The rest of the climb up was pretty okay though, no complaints. Now time to swing with Bowser 2. This fight was actually easier and faster than the first one, as I was able to let Bowser charge through me and lead him to the edge of the platform near a bomb, and then grab him and throw him right into the bomb on only the second throw. With that, the second key is now ours, and we now have access to the second floor of Peach's castle. But before moving along, let's go back and revisit Jolly Roger Bay to nab the star that we missed there. The more we get now, the less we have to eventually get in Rainbow Ride, right? This time with the metal cap, although still slow to turn Mario around, with some patience and proper positioning, I was able to move Mario right into the jet stream to get the star. Now up to the second floor we go, and what do you know? Another Toad wants to brighten my day with a free star. Awesome. The first course I wanted to tackle up here is Wet Dry World. Here's to hoping it goes better than the last few courses. The star from the Shocking Arrow Lift is one of the easiest in the game due to the one warp spot in this course, and that doesn't change at all in this run. Well, I guess avoiding the fire from the one Kuramame there was a bit more challenging this time, but nothing too crazy. Okay, sorry for going all over the place here, but before progressing in Wet Dry World, I wanted to go back and revisit some more courses from before. A few viewers in my chat suggested that I reconfigure my setup to have the foot pedal act as the A button so I can hold it to grab onto Hoot in Whomp's Fortress. I don't feel like this compromised the challenge or made it any easier really, so I figured I'd give it a whirl. Though I was able to now grab onto Hoot, turning around while gliding was still tough and required very fast drum rolling. But a good takeoff angle really helped with this, and after only a few attempts I was able to land in the cage and grab the star. Now back at Bob-omb Battlefield, with the wing cap unlocked, let's have a go at getting the Mario wings to the Sky Star. This star requires us to grab the central coin in 5 different rings of coins in the sky. By now I've already learned that navigating Mario while flying, even if it is possible, was definitely not worth learning. So what I did was just try and get as many coins as I could from each cannon shot, and then I had to properly aim and ascend Mario just right to grab the last central coin. This star was super tedious as it required me to get to the floating island several times. Now back to Dire Docks to get that pesky star in the jet stream. So just as I figured, it seems Bowser's sub was indeed causing the course to lag, so without it, Metal Mario's movements were much more responsive. After several attempts to get down there in time, I jumped and swam through 5 rings to get yet another star, bringing our count up to 43. I thought about maybe trying the pull jump for the 8 red coins here in Dire Docks, but it's another star that I think I might come back to if need be. Alright, time to get back to Wet Dry World. Getting to the top wasn't super challenging so long as I jumped into the painting at the highest thirds to get the water level to its maximum starting height. The problem started at the top, however, as I wasn't able to position the camera well enough to make jumping up to the plank easy, and instead I had to perform and stick a very precise side flip. Then not only did I have to inch my way across without falling into the water below, but at the end I also had to avoid several fire breaths from the Kuramame enemy. Then there's also this spinning platform, oh boy. Well, another well-timed jump later, and that's another one down. So next I wanted to get up to the top of the cage here to see if both the Secrets in the Shallows and Sky and Express Elevator Stars were going to be feasible. I tried for a while to get up there using the timed blocks, but once I got up to the top block, I just wasn't able to jump high enough to get to the top of the cage, and I didn't have enough room to perform the side flips that were basically getting me the height I needed in so many areas so far. But not all is lost. Pink Bob-omb to the rescue with giving us access to the stage's cannon. This was a complete guess and check game, and I had to pinpoint exactly where to aim the cannon to land right onto the cage. There we go. Now knowing that it is possible, I went back to touch the first 4 secret locations in the area, and then returned to the top of the cage again to break open the box there for the 5th, and then I sniped the resulting star. And although the star was successful, the express elevator didn't bring me much luck. After only a few attempts, I realized there is absolutely no way I had enough time to drop down, turn around, fiddle my way inside the cage, and then somehow have enough time to side flip or wall kick my way up onto the elevator. This just ain't happening, Chief. Then, after drowning just trying to swim into the underwater town section of the course, I started to think if it was even worth it. I wasn't going able to get the 1 star in the cage since I don't have the vanish cap, and jumping up on top of the buildings to get all the red coins would be nuts. Yeah, no thanks. I think I'll skip that headache for now. Sorry for the degradation of video quality here. I actually forgot to record this part on my computer, so unfortunately I'm stuck with a subpar stream download. It'll get better in a bit. Anyways, now on to one of my favorite courses in this game, Tiny Huge Island. This one has to be better, right? Well, yes, but actually no. Most stars here weren't overly terrible, like defeating all the piranha plants, getting to the top of the island, defeating Wiggler, and touching all 5 of the secret locations in the tiny version of the island. But just getting around the island was honestly the hardest part, especially in the giant version. And yeah, the rematch with Koopa the Quick was brutal. The first race gave us a lot of leeway, but there's none of that this time. To get the star here, you have to get to the flag in less than 25.3 seconds, and the absolute fastest I could do was like 1.5 minutes, so I think it's safe to say that this one is gonna be a no. Lastly, knowing how plentiful the coins are in this stage, I actually attempted getting my first 100 coin star of this run here. It was slightly tougher, but thankfully all the blue coins from the giant Goombas really helped. And now to get the red coins inside the cave. This was some really precise platforming here, and I was able to get most of the coins. The last 2 were especially tough since they required a precise triple jump, and then this one, which I honestly did not think was going to be possible at all, required an extremely precise triple jump wall kick combo. I was honestly shocked I was able to pull this off. Now on to Snowman's Land. First I wanted to grab the star stuck in the dumpster fire of an ice sculpture here. Took a few attempts to get up there, but nothing too wild. The next few stars, like the fight with the chill bully, the star in the box here, as well as getting all 8 red coins on the shell, were all fairly simple to obtain. The ice path near the snowman's head made it virtually impossible to even move here, so I had to blast my way up there instead with the cannon. The only problem with that was getting inside the igloo to get the pink Bob-omb to open it, since I didn't have the means to crawl yet. After again reconfiguring my setup, although still a mess, I was somehow able to fandangle my way inside the igloo. Trust me, this was way more annoying to pull off than it seems. While in the igloo, unfortunately there's another star we can't obtain since it requires the vanish cap. So close, yet so far away. On the bright side, we now have the cannon, so let's blast up onto the snowman to grab star number 56. Okay, we now have 4 courses left with 14 stars to go. At this point, I was starting to get a bit nervous. The next few courses better be good to us, especially if I want to see as little of Rainbow Ride as possible. As I'm sure you expect by now, Tall Mountain was as much of a hassle to climb as probably virtually possible. Sure, I'm glad like 3 of the stars here are essentially just getting up there. I guess doable tedious ones are better than impossible ones though. The red coins here were all super annoying to get, but thankfully on the flip side I was somehow able to pull off the slide skip here to get the star there, and then was able to blast my way to the star on the mushroom. Wow, did we just get all the stars from a course in one go? That's a first. After getting another freebie star from grabbing Mips in the basement again, time to head up to the 3rd floor to get yet another freebie star from the toad up there. Cheers, butt boy. Tick-tock clock was definitely a test of all the skills I have learned so far by playing on the drum kits. There were so many super precise jumps that required I used every trick I knew. But after inching my way up, I got 1 star, and then another from all the red coins, and then yet another. Only 2 more to go. Things went a bit south here as I reached another impasse since I couldn't jump up to the next section with the course being frozen like I had it up till now. So instead of abandoning this course and trying for some other stars, I decided to challenge myself even further by climbing up the course once again, this time with everything moving, which only made it that much more difficult. Somehow though, I made it through and got star 69. Before getting the last star, my chat viewers really wanted to see me try and pull off a BLJ, or backwards long jump. It took some planning and remapping of some buttons, but I had an idea of how to pull it off. Then, gaming history was made.
I guess, there we go, now it's working, okay. Okay, so I need to run back, dive, turn it off.
I think this is something worthy of putting on my resume. Wow. Yeah, I could go to the final Bowser fight now, but I need to do this legitimately first before relying on glitches. As much as it pained me, my chat really wanted to see me take on Rainbow Ride, so I guess that's where we're headed to next. It was really as bad as I thought it would be. Everything from riding the magic carpets to moving along the rotating platforms was a spicy disaster. I figured probably the quickest star to get here would be the swinging in the breeze one, since I wouldn't have to jump around on the magic carpets. This one was still very tough, especially with the unreliable toggles, but there it was. Star number 70 is ours, and now it's time to head off to the final Bowser stage for real this time. Following the example of the previous Bowser stages, my see-up trick still didn't work here to move the camera behind Mario to make my life easier. It was certainly a slog to climb up to the top, and there were many obstacles along the way, like more stairs that we saw in the first Bowser course, and this elevator section which required some insane jumps, which I got very lucky with. Almost there, and yes, here we go, the final stretch. The first two throws were a bit tough with Bowser spitting more and more fire, but eventually I got him. Now the hardest part, the third throw. If you don't know, after the second throw, the stage will break apart and then form into a star shape, meaning the bombs are now much farther away from the edge of the platform. My strategy to just drop Bowser off the edge of the stage into a bomb was no longer feasible. With a heavy heart, this is unfortunately where I must declare the challenge over. Or so I thought on stream. I actually did end the challenge here and even wrote out the rest of this script, but just the day before editing this video, one viewer, MBCollector672, actually stepped up to the plate and fiddled around with the toggles to figure out an input sequence to actually spin Bowser. I tried this method out for myself off stream literally the day before putting out this video, and what do you know, it actually worked. I still have a hard time grasping how this ended up working, but basically I had to switch the directional toggles on the fly by hitting them in a specific order. Guys, I am happy to announce that Super Mario 64 is in fact beatable with just using a Rock Band drum set as a controller. I may have not done it in the fastest way possible, and I'm sure I'll get tons of comments on how I could have done stuff better, but I really think I did it to the best of my ability, and I am extremely happy to take the W here. For those curious, this run took me just under 21 hours of playtime to complete, so I definitely do not recommend it for those that lack patience. This certainly was not the most fun way to play through the game, but I'd be lying if I said completing it like this wasn't a rewarding experience. Unfortunately, since we didn't change size or anything, the end cutscene plays out like normal, and Princess Peach will go on never knowing the struggle that Mario went through to rescue her, being controlled by a drum set. But anyways guys, that will wrap up this challenge video. It was an immense struggle to complete, so I really do hope you all enjoyed it. This is probably the longest one yet, so massive shoutouts to you if you managed to make it to the end here. If you did enjoy this challenge and want to see me do more unconventional challenges like it in the future, be sure to slap a like down below as it really helps me out a lot. And let me know what other controller setups you'd like to see, or what other games tackled using only this drum kit. And also if you enjoyed, be sure to check out some of my other challenge videos by clicking on the card right here. If you happen to be new here and you want to stay even more up to date with me and the channel, be sure to subscribe here, as well as swing by my Instagram and other social media things, which will all be linked in the description below. But as always guys, thank you all so much for tuning in and for all of your support, and I will see you in a bit.